I've had to do a little countdown. They'll be all right. They will be okay. All right. So we have a social conversation. It's going to be one of those conversations that we're going to have to dibble and dabble in a few times. Because I feel like one time is just not enough to just completely talk about this topic. So, now me not having YouTuber etiquette. Hello. Welcome back to Conversations with Coco. I'm your host, Coco. So today we have a special guest. I'll let her introduce herself. Tell us about any social media platforms to follow you, any current projects, all that. You know how we do.
So my name is Medusa. At Medusa ShowOFF on Instagram and at the Medusa Show on TikTok. You can follow me also at Medusa ShowOFF on Instagram. And I just be talking about Black women, talking about pop culture, and I also moderate a book club for Black women. So find me on social media at Medusa ShowOFF and join the book club. Become a member.
Yes. So this conversation is definitely stemming from an incident that had happened on the TikTok. And this is a kind of conversation one of the conversations that I've been wanting you to talk about and revisit here, there, and everywhere. So I don't know if you want to start out with what led up to the video. Should I just play the video and we can review the fallout that some people were experiencing? How would you like to do that? Because I'm just here to guide the conversation.
It's your show. You can just play the video and then we can just go from there.
Let's see. You can tell I have not at all been on here because I'm like, what am I doing? What am I pressing? What's going on? Can I make this bigger?
It's pretty. We can see it.
Okay. So I'll just play it.
Say something, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash, but it needs to be said. Black women, we gotta stop having children with men that are not committed to us, okay? And before y'all start with the, oh, Medusa, you got married and now you think you're better than us, stop it. Because I've been preaching this prior to me even getting married. I'm talking to the Krayshawn Rocks of the world, okay? The ones who have children with men who have absolutely no intentions of being involved in their children's life at all and make it very clear from the jump, all right? I just finished watching Krayshawn and Blueface ghetto ass show on Zeus. You got Krayshawn's drug addicted mother in the background over here pressuring her into being a single mother. Then you got her mom, her cousins, and her sisters pretty much saying the same thing. But see, they don't see nothing wrong with it because they're single mothers too. This is literally all they know. This is the norm for them. This shit has been normalized for them. That's the fucking problem. I'm here to tell you that being a single mother is not fucking normal. Raising a child on your own is not normal. You didn't create the child on your own, so you shouldn't have to raise the child on your own. I know your mama did it, and your mama's mama did it, so now you think that you should do it, and it's not the case. And I wish that somebody would step up and shake some goddamn sense into these women and let them know what the tea is. I'm tired of this shit. But if you don't believe me, look at the facts. Children born to unmarried women have a higher increase in infant mortality. Our marital status negatively affects Black women, and it does not affect white women the same. And this is not by coincidence. This is solely by design. Single parents are most likely to be female and Black. And most Black single women are at a 30% increase of living in poverty, okay? Black women who have children out of wedlock are at an 85% increase of being single parents and raising the child on their own by the time the child is 2. This is not by coincidence. This is by design. And I don't even think I need to touch on the psychological trauma and abandonment issues that come with you only having one parent in your life. Like, come on. We always talk about breaking generational curses and building generational wealth. Well, newsflash, most wealthy people are married. How are you supposed to build generational wealth with no form of stability? Like, come on, y'all. It's time for us to put on our thinking caps. Stop going against the grain. And let me be clear, this is not an attack on single mothers. This is, however, an attack on y'all normalizing and glamorizing single motherhood for Black women. Because in actuality, when you really break it down and look at the statistics, all you're doing is normalizing and glamorizing and fetishizing poverty. Because that's really all we have to look forward to. We are literally fetishizing poverty. It's like almost like some of us have like a fucking poverty kink, and it's beyond problematic. We need to stop that. I just want to point out that we are statistically putting our children at a disadvantage when we make these decisions. So with that being said, Black women, we got to have higher standards for the men that we choose to have children with. And to my older Black women, like Krayshawn's mom and them, stop encouraging the youth to be single mothers just because you did it. Well, I did it, so you can do it. You shouldn't have had to do it. time for us to get back to them old days when we was telling men, I'm sorry, you want me to have your babies, you're gonna have to put a ring on it. It's time for us to start making these standards, period. It's time for us to start honing in and nurturing the Black family, the modern Black family, not maybe not the nuclear Black family, because I feel like that shit is a bit extreme, but the modern Black family with a Black mama, a Black daddy, two Black daddies, two Black mamas, however it works. We gotta start doing that. But marriage, I'm sorry, marriage needs to be put at the forefront of a lot of our decisions moving forward. I'm about to say something, and I know that was a lot.
All right. So I feel like I approached you for the conversation because I said I agree and disagree.
Yeah,
I think the majority of it is I think we agree in whole and just disagree in parts.
Yeah.
So
I
have some points, but
yeah, go ahead.
I just have some points. I didn't have any questions because, like I said, I forgot them. Okay. So I don't know if we should start with the things that we are in lockstep with or what we disagree with. I don't know. I think the only thing I disagree with is just that marriage is going to be the defining factor. But I think that's the different in part that we're off on. Because I agree that it's like, I feel like we need to have babies with more intention across the board. Mm-hmm. And so I did have some points of like, let's talk about marriage. Let's talk about how we procreate in our community. And then let's talk solutions. So I guess we'll just go with the marriage stuff first with my half-assed questions. So marriage, should this be the defining factor in whether or not we procreate with somebody?
Well, I don't think that, everything is black and white, obviously. I wouldn't say that it's like finite. So there's always, outliers and room for, wiggle room. But generally speaking, I do think that I do think that it would benefit the Black community if we did prioritize marriage when it comes to family planning. I can stand 10 toes down on that. But like, do I think that like marriage is, like gonna save us and the ultimate savior of the, I don't think that that's the case. And it kind of annoys me that people took it that way. Speaking of which, I want to respond to this because there was people who were saying like, well, just because you get married, that doesn't mean that, you won't, marriage is going to stop you from being a single mother. Like your partner could leave you, your partner could pass away and this, that, and the third. That's very true. But I feel like we keep moving the goalpost. Like the goal was for us to decrease children outside of wedlock and to have a 2-parent household in the home. And so for you to turn around and like, yeah, I do think that we should address that, but for you to keep, I don't know, I just think it's kind of fucked up, for lack of better words, for people to try to like throw that wrench into the system. It's like, and even if you want to go from that standpoint, my thing is like, why are y'all so fixated on me and my husband breaking up? Like, why is that? That is weird. I think it's weird that that's like your initial thought and like that's where you went to immediately. I think that's weird. I think it's rooted in some sort of like hateration. I do. But
I think for me,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just think for me, this is where I deviate from the plan. Because for me in my brain, anyway, I think us only using solutions, I'm not saying that you're only using it, but when when these conversations are being had, mostly by men, about Black women, not my camera being blurry, come on now. When we have these discussions about the absentee father rate.
Did you want to fix your camera?
It does that from time to time. It don't ever act right. Okay. I feel like our solutions never include anything outside of the current iteration of patriarchy. So, and I get why, I guess I can see why the backlash was there if you weren't listening and you're just focusing on the marriage part, right? So when we're talking about like the system that we're already in, a solution for some of the things that we have economically, especially when it comes to families, is to get married. And we're not really thinking about how we can approach the goal and get to the same outcome and maybe do it differently. So when I see this conversation being had, especially with Black people, and maybe because we're the only ones really having this conversation out loud on Front Street so much, like no one's bringing in, okay, can we co-parent? Or if the goal is to be married before we have babies, I don't know how to put this without it sounding very bad.
Just say it.
I don't know.
Just say it. If it's bad, just edit it out.
I ain't gonna do that either.
Well, just say it because I don't give a fuck. Come on.
It's like if marriage is the answer, we have to do marriage differently, and we have to just stop taking what we can get.
Okay, that's fair.
And just stop engaging in serious relationships and procreation with men that you really don't want to be with, but they give you attention and they like you.
But see, now we're like, I feel like we're moving the goalpost again. Like, I feel like
I want to move the goalpost back. Because I think that's where I deviate from. I guess I'm thinking about it in the terms of, if I'm thinking about family, right? I guess in my mind, I separate out marriage and the benefits of marriage for the couple with those people being parents. And if I'm thinking about what's in the best interest and getting my child to the best case scenario, even if I get married, and like you said, there are things that could cause the marriage to end, be it naturally or by a decision. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how to articulate this.
You do.
So when it comes to that, it's like a lot of people, especially men, I see having this conversation, especially with that random man in Atlanta.
We can talk about that.
They tie the woman and the child together instead of saying my relationship has ended, but I'm still a parent. And so if I'm thinking about, yes, marriage for me with wealth building and all that is important, but there are just instances where that just does not work out.
Okay.
And so I know for me, when I picked my partner, I'm not just picking a partner for like who I want to be married to now. I picked my partner with my children in mind. Because I know that if we were to split, she's going to be a parent 10 toes down. And I don't think that we are choosing parents for our children from that space.
I agree. And that's something that, listen, I feel like we're all ultimately arguing the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. I said we agree. We just disagree in parts.
Right. And that, again, I want to add some things, right? One, I do agree that the conversation definitely needs nuance, right? Like the conversation is definitely in need. Is it coming? No, get it together.
I don't know how to make it not do this.
And I'm trying to figure out how I can go live on mine. Because, like, I don't even know. Because you're on YouTube, right? Or just StreamYard?
Yeah. I'm on YouTube. Is there like a...
Because...
Or was it, were you supposed to go?
No, I was trying to... There's YouTube allows you to share the live, but I don't know how to do it because I'm old. But no, this my thing. Can we be fucking for real? Like,
well, let's do it. That's what we do around here. Yes.
Let's be fucking for real here. I made that video, and granted, I can agree that it definitely is in need of some nuance. But let's be for real. Like, That conversation was specifically for women who are having, like, heterosexual women or women who are having babies with men. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm talking specifically to the women who date men. Yes, it's time for us to have some better pussy management. I'm sorry. It's time for us to, like, really just make better decisions when it comes to the men that we have children with. I'm sorry. Like, and I'm not sure how else to do that aside from marriage. And if marriage isn't the key, then again, then he needs to have some sort of commitment.
Absolutely. So I'm just gonna skip down to my second one before we get to solutions. My procreation category. So one of the things that this made me think of as a bigger picture item that we would probably need to talk about in the community seriously is how we handle sexual health and education.
Yes.
And I think a big part of the reason why we are having, I like to call them oops babies, minus well babies, and bargaining chip babies.
Wait, explain the bargaining chip baby. What's that?
Like either, oh, if I have this baby, he'll stay, or if I have this baby, I'll control him, or if I have this baby, he'll love me, and all those different variations.
Well, how about
and from the men's part too, not just from women. The
I understand,
men too.
but how about when I made the video, people was in the comments like, well, nobody chooses to be a single mom, and
if that man told you when you was 8 weeks pregnant, I'm not finna be here,
that's your choice.
What's going on over here in my office? Girl, hold on, let me get my life together.
That looks better. You're better now.
Look at you.
Girl, yes. They were saying nobody chooses to be a single mom. And that's how they was trying to convolute, like, oh, well, if you and your husband get a divorce, then you're going to be a single mother too. Like, that's not, again, me, God forbid, me and my husband separating and you having a baby with a nigga that told you from the jump that he had wanted nothing to do with you and the child. Like, I just think it's weird that y'all trying to compare the two. I just think that that's like weird as fuck. Like, I don't understand why y'all are so adversant to, I don't even know, or like why y'all are so adverse to men committing to you. Like, because that's really what it comes down to.
Because I mean, when you think about it, right? If you get married, you get divorced. I don't ever have to see you again. We don't ever have to talk. If we have kids, it could just be about the kids. But you didn't like had a baby with somebody. You created a human. Y'all ancestors, before we even get there,
come on.
It is not 18 years. It's forever.
Ever, yes.
Because after 18 years, graduations, career changes, moves, weddings, funeral, all those things, grandchildren being born. And then when y'all die, y'all still got to see each other.
And let's talk about it. Like, we always talk about how men are so careless with their genitalia and how they just stick it into anybody. And like how that really is like rooted in some sort of like mental illness and like form of self-hatred. Like, you don't even care about your sexual health, that you're able to just willingly share your body with anybody, right? And it's like, okay, we can have that conversation, but what about these women who open up their reproductive, leave their reproductive health in the hands of some nasty ass N-word? Okay, it's like a la the random man in Atlanta. It's hard. It's hard for me to feel bad for these ladies. It's just like at the end of the day, like, you got to protect yourself. Like, you can't.
And then it's like, I don't think we ever have a conversation, right? Because we'll talk about like how women and men will have these oops babies. Like, we was just messing around and it was a oops. We didn't use a condom once and she ended up getting pregnant, and we're both Christians, so we kept it. We'll get to this education part after this. Or it's a minus well, like, oh, we've been together for, like, I'll say like Danae Jackson with her first child is, oh, we've been together or off and on for this amount of time, and I'm getting older, so I might as well have the baby.
Well, you might
I got pregnant
too. I don't. That's my part. If you might as well have a baby, then why don't you might as well get married and have some sort of commitment to each other? That's the part that I don't get.
But I think for me is that, to me, the commitment goes beyond marriage and should be there before as a part of the reason why you are marrying somebody.
Right.
If that makes sense. I think women and men in our community have babies and get married to keep someone around or to fulfill this fairy tale fantasy in our head. Just add water and I have everything I want. I just need me a man and a baby. And it's like, okay, but this is a human being you're about to birth. Are we not considering what kind of household they're going to grow up in? What kind of parents they're going to get? What kind of village they're going to get? What kind of education they're going to get? What kind of culture and awareness they're going to get? Like, we're not thinking about anything. We're just fucking and having kids.
You know what it is? Now we're going to get to the nitty gritty. Because again, this goes back to men and women, right? When it comes to us having sex, when that condom comes off and that raw penis is inserted into that raw vagina, we lose all rationale. Like when he hits,
I don't understand that.
I'm telling you, it's
like
something.
I literally don't get that. Like
I mean, I've heard, no, don't do that because they say that the lesbians be acting crazy too.
I'm not lesbian. Well, that's the thing. I'm not lesbian, right? So I've been bisexual my whole life.
I'm saying,
and so when I'm saying personally, because at 17, I went down to the clinic and I put myself on birth control. And I made sure I kept up with that regimen, getting checked out and doing that because I didn't want no babies. So on a personal note, I mean, I get it, like intellectually, I get it, the pheromones or the hormones are rapid. I get it.
It's not.
But if I don't want to have no babies, I'm not gonna have no babies.
I just think, and I'm not, and now listen, I am in therapy and I'm unlearning internalized misogyny just like everybody else. But I do believe that sex affects women different than it does men. I do. I'm sorry. Like, I think that and maybe it has to do with patriarchy or the way we are conditioned, but it's something about when a woman when she's getting like, maybe it's because of the way men view sex versus the way but when a woman is having sex, especially once that condom is removed, it's just not the same. It's not the same experience for her as it is for the man. He's just trying to get
what I'm hearing is we need to have a little bit more discernment with who we give coochie to in general.
I agree. Or at least at the bare minimum, if you're not going to have any discernment, then at least put a condom on it.
That part. I think condoms with discernment as well. Yes.
Yeah. Because I think because I'm telling you, Coco, I have had conversations with women and I've heard some crazy stories about, how they became mothers. I had this one person tell me that she didn't want any children and she got 4. Huh?
That's what I wanted to come back to. Okay. That's what I was originally talking about. Okay. When I was talking about how we don't think about the children, but we talk about how we have these different scenarios in which men and women have these might as well or bargaining chip babies. How does that feel to be a child that was not planned for, wasn't wanted, but was I guess we're gonna go with it, baby?
Well, I mean,
it sounds crazy, but it's like when you think about it, it's like you really like created a life that you weren't even thinking about creating. Yeah. And you're like, well, it's cool for me now, so I guess mine as well.
It's not very romantic. And we could take it a step further and I think I used to think that, women don't be trapping these men. They don't be having babies with these men to keep them around. Like, I used to give women, specifically Black women, the benefit of the doubt. But now that social media has come about and y'all are sharing your thoughts, it's like, oh no, y'all really, now I can't, obviously it takes 2 to tango. But there is a specific demographic of women who are having babies with men to keep them around. And going back to that, it's like that's just the tea. And
so do you think? Because I think it's true that with our community in this country, specific history of marriage and absentee fathers, throughout the last century, I guess we could say, do you think Black women are having these babies and viewing it at, well, having these babies in lieu of marriage because they know that's the only thing they're going to get from the men?
Yes. I think that I think that their mamas was never married. They came from generations, and I mean, what, especially these Gen Zs, you know, who have likely have Gen X parents. Come on now, you know, their parents were married. They, you know, they had their parents had them young. Their mama had them young. They come from a generation of women who had kids when they was young. So marriage was never a thing. And so, you know, no, I don't even think that marriage is I'm 29 and people be telling me oh, you're married, like, oh, like but when I go on Facebook and I see the white children, not to make white people like the standard or anything, but when I see white people that I went to high school and middle school with who are the same age as me, these niggas been married for 3-4 years now, and it's just like,
they kids starting kindergarten this week.
like, girl, they don't even look recognizable. It's like, oh, but
Listen, I was like, ooh, the times have hit us. All right.
Yeah.
But I think there is something to be said, and said for us not confronting that I don't necessarily think it's a glorification of being a single mother. I think for a lot of us, that's the only way we know how to get anything from a man.
And that's so ooh,
it's sad
to have his
like,
baby.
Because for it to be something that is now viewed as something that is glamorized over back in the day, something to be ashamed of, or something that was an unspoken, swept under the rug thing, it has to be so widespread. And it's like,
let me ask you a question. Do you think that it's shameful
to be a single mother?
No, not to be a single mother, but the stigma that, like, just like the stigma that comes with it, especially when we're talking about how, like, now in this climate or for the last 20 years, our women have just been doing it because, like, well, this is as close to the biggest commitment I can get. Like, do you think that it's shameful? Because I do. I'm sorry.
I think in society it is shameful, and I think the perceived glorification of it is an attempt to uplift the single mom, because we don't have that dynamic of men stay in the home, men marry, then have kids, take care of the family. Because in action, that's not happening. I think because we're not having weddings and bridal showers, we're having babies and baby showers.
Yep.
Instead of, and I mean, we can add in a little bit, Black women would love to partake in patriarchy as much as they can. They would love that. We just don't have that access within.
Okay, hold on. Let's really talk, because now we about to get spicy. I'm unlearning my misogyny, right? I'm in therapy, and it's a process. I was raised, you know what I'm saying? Like, not to get into, like, first of all, this is a little backstory. My mom is from the rural. My mom is from the South, and my father is Jamaican. So, and they're like boomers. So, you know what I'm saying? You already know what type of Christian household I was raised in. So yeah, but I do feel like there are aspects, like, we're done with patriarchy? Like, we're just no parts of patriarchy?
I feel like when I really listen to these gender war conversations, and even when I listen to educated women that seem to be woke to a certain level, what I hear is arguing for patriarchy. I want a patriarch. I want a man that's going to provide for the household, that's going to lead and is going to guide, that I can rest in my femininity with, not argue with, and just be cute, have the kids, and do those things.
No,
I think Black women as a group would love to participate in that.
But to Black women's defense, I see what you're saying. Okay, that's so.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think that it is what it is.
Right. No, but you do think it's a bad thing. Like,
I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think we need to know what that really entails.
right.
I know what patriarchy entails, and if you want that, go right ahead. I don't want it for me in my household.
What does it entail? Let's get into it.
In a marriage perspective, if you are getting the trade-off of a man being the sole financial provider, the leader of the household, the end-all be-all, what you're trading off is you being at home and being subservient and being a housewife and a stay-at-home mother.
You know.
And if you want to choose that, that's what you choose. Like I'm a feminist because I believe every woman should choose whatever they want to choose for their life. It isn't gonna work for me.
Here's my thing. I agree. Like I'm a womanist. That's the beauty of womanhood and womanist or whatever. Like, you know, while I may not agree with one woman, if it empowers another woman to dress a certain way and to live her life a certain way, by all means, go ahead and do it. Right. So, I personally that whole cooking and cleaning and subservient and making myself small for my husband. No, I'm not. Come on, you know I'm not with that. However, I don't have an issue with my husband leading. I don't have an issue with black men. Because I just feel like black women have been at the forefront of everything. Black women, black trans women, queer folks, like all the marginalized, we have been at the forefront of everything. So I'm like, no, let these niggas step the fuck up. I am tired. I do want to sit the fuck down, cross my legs, and drink a cold glass of lemonade. Like, I'm tired. Like, my ancestors and myself, we've been fighting for too long. I do want the men to step the fuck up and lead. And I don't think there's anything, and I don't think that makes me a pick me. Because
no, it doesn't make. I think what would make you a pick me is if like you're doing it for the male gaze, or you're doing it because you don't think your opinion is valuable to the equation. There is a difference in your husband leading and y'all are partners and y'all are walking through life together, but under patriarchy, y'all are partners. That's not partnership.
That's true.
Like, black women, if we could like, and this is kind of like my gripe, because I feel like we need to go further. We need to take ourselves out of the patriarchal white supremacist way of the world. And I know it's uncomfortable, and that's probably the reason why we tread so lightly on the patriarchal line, is because it's already uncomfortable to be in a patriarchal world and not reap the benefits of that within your own community, but everybody else does.
Right.
But if we're like actually going back to who we are and creating something anew, it has to be completely outside of this. But if we're going to remix it, I think black women would love to have a patriarchal household with egalitarian notes. Like, I don't want you to be the 100% leader or don't talk to me or consider me. I want to have input. But in the other households that follow patriarchy, the wife's input is what the kids wear to school and what the kids eat and what she gonna cook and what she gonna clean when before her husband get home. Yeah. And not how do we spend our money? How are we raising our children? Like, it's like, I don't know. I feel like we don't want to feel too different because we are integrated. But it's like at the same time, our strengths are in our differences as a black people. And if we were to lean into that and what our ancestors did more before the transatlantic slave trade, we would probably be better off. But that requires partnership and collaboration. And don't nobody really want to do that right now.
I don't think that's true. I think that we just don't see it a lot. But I do think that a lot of like black, especially, black millennials, I think a lot of us want what you're describing.
I mean, we have our pockets when we talk about like the whole of the community, from the oldest to the youngest, all generations. It's just, we need all hands on deck. Like, we can't just, we can give the ideas, but we cannot do the work for everyone. Everyone must do the work. I agree. Make it look like.
But I'm talking specifically to like our generation, so millennials and Gen Z, because I'm on the cusp. I'm talking to them specifically. Like, we gotta do better. Because for the most part, we be doing good, but like, there's just a couple things that we just keep
Getting
repeat.
snagged on.
Yes, and this having babies with men, and then that's the thing with the 6 men in Atlanta. Now, I don't really know. Can we talk about that real quick? Can we get 5 minutes? Just 5 hot minutes. I
I
don't
don't
really.
got all the information. I got bits and pieces.
I'm just like, here's my thing. Here's my thing, bitch. Okay, this ain't 1950. This is 2023. We are in the year of social media. You can do a background check. People, you can see people's tagged photos. Ain't no way in fuck a man got 5 kids by 5 different women scattered across the United States, and and there's no you have no way of finding that out. Like, girl, y'all don't be doing Facebook searches before y'all.
Now, look, I do advocate for getting in Google and doing your damn thing. I definitely do. Um, I don't know. I think it goes back to he likes me and he gives me attention. So instead of thinking with my brain, no matter how much I like him, I'm just gonna rest on that I like him and he likes me.
Well, to me, that's the ultimate pick me. While y'all over here calling women who aspire to be married pick me's, and you over here having a baby with the first man that gives you a compliment, like that, to me, that's pick me shit. I'm sorry, if there's just certain things like you have to have some sort of atonement and accountability for it. Like, you are one of 6 baby mamas, and you're the 6th one.
Now with them, as if I'm remembering correctly, I think there are. I think I'm confused because this is what I was confused about. So apparently, the actual first baby mama, no one knew she existed until everything came out on TikTok. Okay. So I guess his first kid, he just don't see her, don't take care at all.
Trash. And these women are very attractive. That's the crazy.
They are all fine. I was like, oh.
I'm not surprised, and that goes back to what you're talking about. Like, we be having this, we just all rationale goes out the window. He gets a little bit,
flew away.
Just a little bit of, all he needs is a little bit of attention,
a little bit of attention, and a little bit of dick.
And you ready to have a baby with him?
No, and then okay, so number 2 and number 3, the ones we thought was 1 and 2, but now it's 2 and 3. Apparently, they was pregnant at the same time.
Disgusting.
And then I think when Morgan, the 3 before, so that's 1, 2, 3. Morgan's number 7. I think the 3 before her, I think they were all pregnant at the same time.
Also, all their kids.
And based on what he said he did with Morgan, I feel like once he's done with that relationship, no, because she said because there was some drama last night between Morgan and baby mama number 5 that just came out.
And Morgan looks very young. How old is she?
She just turned 23.
And how old is the baby father? Because he look old.
I think he's in his late 20s.
Oh, right. He looked like he in his mid 30s.
Okay. So apparently one of the girls he's been with off and on this entire time, I think it's baby mama number 5. But apparently she came out and said something. Morgan was like, that's not right because you texted me this long ago. Basically, like, I had no idea about you. I didn't know you were pregnant. He's been with me every single day. Like, I'm pregnant. Like, so I'm like, he has to utilize that little bit of pick me and dick that they got swirled together to just be here, there, everywhere, because the baby mama number 5 was paying for a car that he had, and Morgan was paying for a car that he had. So I'm just like, they just have to just be like, out of sight, out of mind, ignore the red flags, and I don't know, because
but you know,
apparently the older kids, they're 8 and above.
I'm telling you, their parents had them young. They probably had Gen X parents who had them when they were young. And so they don't even, when they was talking to them about dating, they were still in their mid 20s and early 30s and shit like that with teenagers and stuff. So they're still figuring it out,
On that note, we got to talk about sexual education, because with all this stuff going on with Random Man in Atlanta, also Megamind, if you know, you know, and all what they talking about and all that.
Who?
I think a big contributing factor into this is sexual education.
Yeah.
I think with our hold in Christianity and purity culture, that we're missing an opportunity to talk to our children about sexual health, sexual activity, and educating them on, you know, how pregnancy actually happens, how diseases are transferred, how to protect yourself during sex. I feel like we don't talk about those things. And then so when we don't talk about those things, we're not talking about, you know, our health when it comes to diseases and how to handle that. Consent, definitely, and what that looks like. So I just feel like I guess part of the solution would be just we need to actually talk about sexual wellness, sexual health, and education a little bit more, because why are you meeting this man and you just having raw dog sex with him?
Because I guess it's self-esteem issue,
and I'm like, y'all got all these. Where the babies? Where's the? Have we been to the clinic?
Not only that, like, you know, we as humans, we are sexual beings. You know, y'all like to make it seem like men are the only ones who have these explicit sexual desires, but women do as well. And so, yeah, like, I do think that we do need to have these conversations, because it's like, mama, it's okay that you know you want some attention, or you need some attention, you need some loving every once in a while. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But like, you know, you having to pay his car note to get him to answer the phone. You having to let him, you know, raw dog you and dump inside of you to get a call back.
I guess a conversation about self-esteem would be an amazing part to add to that. Oh my goodness.
Accountability. I mean, they still saying that nobody chooses to be a single mother. Yes, and then that's another thing they said. Well, you know, they was to the girls that were like, you know, well, you know, if you get a divorce, you're gonna be a single mother. Let's speak to that. 9 times out of 10, most divorce, excuse me, not even 9, 8 times out of 10, because 80% of divorces are initiated by the woman. Okay, so if I was, God forbid, to, you know, in my marriage, likely 8 times out of 10, according to statistics, it would be me that was initiating that, and that would be my decision. And so, according to your logic, then yeah, okay, I would be a single mother, and I still will be making that decision for myself. But see, the difference is.
I think that argument and that pushback kind of leads me back to one of my original points of we're not actually thinking about how to get to the goal and pivot. Because if that's like a shame tactic, if a woman is leaving a marriage, it's for a reason.
Right.
Either finances, which are important, which I need for children, emotional, which I need for children, or some physical things going on, or some unfaithfulness, which is also. So either my options are to be a single parent and get shamed, or to remain in a marriage in a bad household that not only affects me, but affects the children.
And my sexual health.
Nobody cares about the children. I'm coming to that realization. It's not about the children. It's about me having a baby.
It's not about the children. And that's a whole nother conversation in itself, because y'all really don't like kids. Y'all really just like infants and babies. Because once the kid turns 5 and 6, y'all don't give a fuck about them little motherfuckers. Y'all don't be posting them no more. Y'all just go ahead and have another one and go and start posting out.
Oh.
Because if I think about it, like, you be seeing somebody, your friends on Facebook, it's like, damn, that kid got big as shit, because you stopped posting them. You haven't posted them in years because they're not infants anymore.
I'm gonna be one of them anecdotal people. Because my friends waited to have kids until they wanted to when they was ready. I see them kids every other day. Be like, damn, do you do anything other than be a mom?
Yeah.
You don't got nothing else going on with your life.
I'm trying to get to that point where I'm like feeling comfortable. I don't want to like post them too much.
Look, I've been on TikTok too much. These people would never see my baby. If you ain't on the original Instagram or Facebook, I'm sorry for you.
I agree.
Because the way these men are talking about giving out instructions on how to snatch kids and get away with it and do this and that and get away with it and here's where you go and this.
I'm sorry, what?
You didn't see that video of this? I think it was the same guy that made the video where he was talking about he wants the baby's daughter.
I did.
He literally made an entire video. I could not watch it. Of where to go to be the most successful for abusing actually children.
But you want to know the sad part? Despite these videos going viral, I could see a woman still having sex with him anyway.
Girl, listen. Well, I guess we can move on to solutions. If there are any other than we've already discussed, because I think honestly, this for the whole globe, we should just take a collective 5-year break on procreation. Just everybody stop.
That's what they were saying. It was like, let's take it a step further and just stop having kids altogether. And I was like, I'm fine. Okay.
That's fine. Let's go. The ones that's already here, perf.
Period. Perf.
But I think my solution would just be what it would be for if you're wanting to marry somebody, right? You have to look at this person holistically. And you have to have conversations around, do you want children? When do you want children? What kind of parent do you want to be? What kind of parenting style?
Yeah.
How do you want your child to be raised? Do you have a village? What kind of village? And I feel like we just fucking and we ain't having those conversations. It's like if we're gonna be fucking without condoms and no birth control, we need to have these conversations. Now, if we just fucking and we can take, birth control, condoms, and the Plan B and the periodical trips if you need to. Okay, cool. But it's like a lot of us are not doing that.
I also think that we need to someone I don't want to say I'm elder, but to the like. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. I may be an elder to these teenagers or whatever. But as some of the older people in the community, we do need to reach out to these young girls and hey, you sucking dick? All right, here. Take this is what you need to do. Because it's weird. Nobody likes to talk about sex with their parents. I get that.
Yeah.
But
I think that just triggered me because I'm like, because I lived in Washington State, and so they had in the legislature, they created a law because they wanted to decrease teen pregnancy that I think it was 16 to about 23 or ish. You could go to anywhere and get free birth control, free condoms, free Plan B, free women's exams, and all that. I even got my HPV shot. My mom didn't know. My mom found out I had sex because I left my Plan B box on the floor when I was cleaning my room, and that was a traumatical experience. Damn. But I'm like, if I didn't have the wherewithal to do that, and I just went by the rules my strict Christian mother had, I would have been fucking out there with nothing.
Yeah. And that's
no protection, no birth control, no care, nothing.
I just honestly, some people just shouldn't have children because y'all are literally setting your kids up for failure. Some of y'all are just not equipped to be good parents. Y'all are horrible parents.
Let's talk about that because that in and of itself is going to have to be a little mini series of
y'all are horrible parenting. Y'all are horrible parents, and you don't teach your kids anything, and that's why your kids are out here, just running amok and don't know anything about nothing. Your kids,
but I think that's what happens when you just out here fucking and not caring about the human you're creating.
I just think that also just like we need to like approach sex more like liberally. Like, listen, we're sexual beings. We get horny, you get whatever, and like foster safe spaces to have these like uncomfortable conversations. Your kids are going to have sex, and you don't want what you don't want is for your daughter to just let the first, because that's what happens. You're gonna shelter your daughter, and the first man that she has sex with, she's gonna be head over heels for him. She's gonna let him just nut all in her.
And you know what? You know who's going to be that man? That someone like the random man in Atlanta that can spot that girl from across the street or across the orientation at college and know she finna give it up. Mm-hmm. Ooh. We got some work to do because we gotta do better. But yes, we will wrap this up because you got somewhere to be. You said I'm a mother first, a wife directly after, and a bad bitch after. So thank you for joining me.
No, thank
y'all. Be sure to subscribe to her YouTube channel and on the TikToks. You know, we be in the trenches over there on TikTok. Sometimes you gotta come over here and have a civilized conversation.
Yes, follow me at Medusa ShowOFF on Instagram and join my book club. DM
yes. What book are you reading? Girl, listen, you made me buy this book.
What book?
And it's sitting right here. I ain't even read it.
Which one? Oh my God!
I ain't even read it yet. It's sitting over here collecting dust.
The next book, you haven't read Jeanette McCurdy's book, have you?
No, I haven't. I was interested. I might have to get it on audiobook though. It's not good.
I just thought it was gonna. It's just a lot of white complaining. Like, girl, okay.
Oh yeah. I expected that. It was gonna be real Caucasian girl complaining.
Like, okay, girl, your mama called you fat. Like, I know that's fucked up, but like,
she never called you no fat bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, like, so it's just getting that. But we read it All About Love. Have you read that?
No.
Okay, All About Love. Viola Davis book. All Boys Aren't Blue by George Johnson. So yeah, I'll give you something. So
we'll tap into the book club.
Yes,
but I'll let you go. I know you you got some things to do. I don't want to hold you up, but we will be having these conversations. And when I get my life together and be more consistent and put out a schedule, we'll have more important conversations.
Well, thank you for having me. I can't wait to be back.
Absolutely. All right. Y'all on here, I'll catch y'all later. Y'all may see me next Sunday. Y'all may not. Who knows? But until next time, bye.
Bye, y'all.
All right. I'm going to say